Janai, go ahead.
Good day, viewers. Before I begin, I'd like to wish our farmers or customers, persons who have been listening to these live or these Zooms over the past year and will continue to take in the information provided by Caribbean Chemicals. I'd like to wish you and your family a happy new year. I hope this year you'll see great prosperity in terms of your production, increase in your knowledge, and most of all, you can make some decent or large enough profit from your activities. So I'd like to wish you happy new year again from the team at Caribbean Chemicals, and hope that you continue to be a part of the social media campaign for Caribbean Chemicals and continue to share these videos and encourage persons to listen in on these trainings. So before I continue, my name is John I. Johnson, the Product Development Agronomist for the Southeast region, and I'm filling in for Dane Parker because as advertised, he was supposed to present, but he's getting some needed rest, right? So I'll basically fill in for him for this training. And being the first training for the year, what we try to do, we're trying to focus on quick crops that you can turn around some profit within a short period, right? So this training will focus on growing leafy vegetables the CCJ way, right? And we're going to focus on pest and disease management along with nutrition. So because we have previous trainings on pest and disease and also nutrition, we won't delve long into a lot of the in-depth topics such as the type of pest and the products being used, right? Just a quick mention of some of them. So let me begin. All right, so leaf vegetables. Leaf vegetables, one of the main thing you have to take in consideration is that these crops are basically shallow rooted. And what I mean is that a lot of their root, the intensive root system is located close to the surface. So this makes it all important that you take care in how you're dealing with these crops. So right now we're talking about the amount of water applied, the fertilizer, how close you apply it to the root system, and other practices that will or may affect the your root of your crops. And also responds very well to high nitrogen fertilizers. So because they're leafy greens, you get that quick response when you apply your nitrogen fertilizers, which nitrogen is very mobile. So the plant responds very quickly to those. And some of the culinary and dietary characteristics we're talking about, these are green vegetables. A lot of them, well, a lot of them are green, but you have several that come with mixed coloration. So you're talking about some persons, say you have your purple cabbage or your red cabbage, or in terms of your lettuce, you have purple or red, right? And they can be consumed raw or even or require minimal preparation, right? And in terms of the nutritional component, these crops are very high in fiber. So, right. So if the doctor recommends that you need to increase on your fiber content, you want to think about consuming some leafy greens, and they are very low in protein and fat. And during this pandemic, a lot of persons are either home or working from home, and you want to ensure that you have a low fat diet during this sedentary period, right? You're staying around your decks or you're sitting on your couch. You want to keep the amount of fat low. So these vegetables are very excellent at this time. And also, the most important thing is the presence of bioflavonoids, right? And these are plant antioxidants. And these components are crucial in fighting off cancers or any free radicals that may even lead to development of cancer. So consider more consumption of your leafy greens. And even other nutrients, you're talking about your potassium, your manganese, vitamins, be it B, C, E, also your boron, right? And that the boron there is a crucial component. A lot of farmers or backyard growers, I see, do not focus on the boron content when they're talking about your leaf vegetables, which is very crucial with the root development and even the rigid component of the leaf. So if your boron content is low, you realize that the leaves are very brittle. Right? So boron is very crucial. So let me basically mention some of the varieties that Caribbean Chemicals Jamaica carry. So in terms of lettuce, we have a Red Rapid. You have your Olga, which is an extra red lettuce. Your matte green. Let's say green is a green lettuce. In terms of cabbages, you have your Scarlet, which you can consider a red or a purple cabbage. You have your Summer Summit, excellent for shredding. You have your Green Emerald, nice tight folded lettuce, cabbage that will give you a lovely head, and it's basically very heat tolerant. And finally, you have your Namdari cabbage, your Carib Delight, right? And these are excellent options depending on what you're looking for. If you're going lettuce or you want to grow your cabbages. So let me just give a quick focus on our lettuce and cabbage varieties. All right, I don't know about you, but I always love to see these heads in terms of your matte green and your red rapid. I generally call them a coral leaf type of lettuce because they resemble a coral, right? And they are lovely in terms of your decor. If you want to create a nice little vegetable basket, or you're looking to create a salad, these are excellent varieties to choose from. All right. And let me give you a little bit of feature. For the matte green, you can get about 340 pounds, which work out to about 3/4 of a pound, right, in terms of head size. And the days to maturity, about 30. So from you setting that seed until you are cutting that head, it's within a month period, right? So quick maturity, nice head formation, and basically a good market demand, right, for this variety. Also, new Red Rapid weight about 400 gram, which is, and in terms of pounds is 0.88, right? Little over 3/4 pound. And in terms of days of maturity, 30 days. So quick development. So these varieties can be grown via hydroponics, outfield, under greenhouse, in pots in your backyard. Easy to grow, short maturity time, and less maintenance. So these are lovely options that you can choose. In terms of the cabbages now, the Green Emerald, as mentioned before, is a nice tight folding cabbage with good head formation. So depending on your spacing, you can get about an average about 3 to 4 pounds from this cabbage. If you space them closer, you can get an average of 2 pounds, right? And as I said before, it's very heat tolerant. So persons have grown this cabbage excellent in Portmore, Manchester, and on different systems. So in Portmore, persons have grown it on irrigation. In Manchester, growing it without irrigation, depending on rainfall, and getting good results as well. Other varieties, your Carib Delight, good formation, nice development in terms of head, right? Not exactly flat, so you're getting that basically runoff of water. So if you're in an area that is basically has a lot of rainfall, you won't have to worry about a lot head rot, right? Finally, you have a Scarlet. This, as I said, can be considered a red or a purple cabbage with good tight head formation. The weight generally range from about 2 to 3 pounds, right? In terms of maturity, this generally mature within about 80 to 90 days, a longer period than the regular cabbage, but I assure you the market demands this variety, and with that tight head formation, it's excellent for shredding and garnish. And the taste profile is very excellent, so a good cabbage variety to select from. So based on seeing some of the varieties that we have, you need to consider your best practice. So, go ahead, Georgia. Yes, Georgia.
There's a question: which variety of cabbage would work best in the summer months? Somebody's asking that question.
Oh, the green emerald. As I said, it can stand up to high temperatures, right? And if you have irrigation, that's a plus. But I'd encourage you to have some source of water supply, right? Yeah, but green emerald is an excellent choice. All right. So some of the best practices you may need to consider to increase your productivity. First of all, choosing high quality seeds. That's a plus, right? So what we're talking about, ensure that the test date on that seed package is current, right? The viability of the seeds are up to par. A lot of times you won't know until you open the pack and sow the seeds. Right? Ensure that it's a hybrid variety, and ensure that it meets up to the standard that you're looking for. So if as a person asks, varieties that may be tolerant in the summer months, varieties that can withstand any stress or drought conditions, disease tolerance, right? So ensure that you choose seeds that will live up to your expectation. Also, quality seedlings. Wait, we have a question in chat, Georgia. One more question.
No, Jonah, go ahead.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Yeah, quality seedlings, and this is very crucial. So if you don't want to set your seeds, you have to choose a nursery operator that is would first of all will select a hybrid variety that meets your standard, has the right conditions to grow these seedlings. So what we're talking about is an enclosed area that will minimize the introduction of pests or disease. That is crucial. If there's an introduction of pests or disease in the early stage, that means you as a grower will be behind the A ball, right? Or behind the starting line, because you have to know bring those seedlings up to standard to then get the productivity you are looking for. So ensure that you choose reputable nursery operators, right? Also, the site where you're planting these vegetables, as I stated before, these are shallow root crops. So you want to ensure that the area that you're going to use is properly prepared. So that soil type or area should allow for a mixture of air to water ratio, a good mixture. So ensure that the soil should be very well aerated. If it's a soil that binds, you can add compost or other material that would allow proper aeration of the soil. So take that in mind, and also areas that don't waterlog or will factor in any proliferation of disease or pests. Next thing, choose seedlings of appropriate size, which is very crucial. I see where persons generally either quickly to take out their seedlings because the seedling tray that they use were too small, so they rush to take them out. The roots are not properly established. When you put them out in the soil, which is at a higher temperature, you get a severe shock. You lose those root tips, and end up you have dieback of the seedlings. Right. So if you take out the seedlings too earlier, there's a greater chance you might lose them. If you keep the seedlings too long in the tray where you're having pot bone, where the roots bind in that tray, that will cause the crop to be we call it stunted, right? So you want to ensure that the seedlings are at a proper stage where the fibrous roots are being established, and generally it will occupy 3/4 of the potting medium, right? You can take them out at that stage. Awesome. Irrigation and fertilization is very crucial because being shallow rooted, water is a must. As I always tell persons, uh, growing vegetables without any source of water is very risky, right? Crops need water to take up the nutrients and other and to allow for proper development. So proper irrigation system or ensure that you have a good supply to basically get the results that you want. Next thing, pest and disease management, which is very crucial. With the change in climatic conditions right now, pest management is becoming a bit difficult. So the farmer or grower have to take in mind proper practices that will minimize any pests to ensure a proper yield or increase in their productivity, right? And finally, post-harvest practices is great. Being that these crops are very sensitive to heat and shock, you can lose them after even having the best harvest, right? So proper harvest techniques, how you cut the crop, how you basically stack them. So if you're talking about a pop choy, you don't want to stack them in structures that will damage the leaf foliage, damage the stem, right? So post-harvest handling is crucial when you're talking about leafy vegetables. All right. So after considering some of those factors, what you want to do now is to prepare the area that you're going to use. And generally, for land preparation, we would recommend or systemic or contact approach. So our systemic options are usually or Glyphos AG41 or Glyphos Max. And these herbicides would control mostly grass and broadleaf weeds that are affecting the area, right? And secondly, if you're choosing a contact option, you want to go with your scorcher or your paraquat super. Those will give you good land clearing to ensure that your crop doesn't have as much weed competition when growing. And this is one of the crucial stage which I always push with growers, that take the time to do a proper land preparation and proper weed control, because at this stage you'll basically minimize any potential or competing weeds that will affect your crops. And once you can minimize the weeds, you are minimizing any competition for nutrients or any host for pests, right? So proper land preparation, proper clearing is very crucial at this stage. All right. And remember, as I said, I'm just going through a lot of these topics because we have PowerPoint slides on them or previous presentations on them that will give you more in-depth knowledge about a lot of the products that you see in this presentation. All right, in terms of nursery management. So if you're planning to sow your seeds, you want to pay attention to this aspect of the presentation. So generally, we recommend if you're doing vegetable production, go with seedling trays. There are persons who usually drop seed in the soil, but due to different pests or the elements, you may lose those seeds. Right. So we generally recommend that you go with seedling trays. And CCJ provides the TH germinating mix, which gives good aeration. Uh, it minimizes how much you have to water, and it overall holds your nutrient application, right? So if you decide to drench, the the germinating mixture would hold that nutrient component much longer than the other germinating mix on the market. And generally, in terms of cell size, we recommend the 128 or the 200 cell trays, right? These are more suitable for your vegetable production. If you go a bit more, so if you choose a 500 cell, you may not get the root development that you're seeking and end up with your seedlings dying back after you plant. As I mentioned, if you don't have that development, they will basically be shocked by the high soil temperature, right? And what we recommend is to start your foliar or your drench application at about the 2 to 3 leaf stage, right? So you can apply your Umix Bio 20 in addition to your Fortify and your Miller Green Stin. So Bio 20 will contribute to quick root and leaf development, while Fortify will further supply those roots with phosphorus and also build the immunity of the plant. And Green Stem is a stress reliever, which would basically allow the seedling to go through any stress conditions that may exist at the time of planting or growing. Or you can work with your root max, Agaleaf root max, with a grade 10-50-10 in that high phosphorus component, right? Will give you a quick root development, and that can be mixed with your green max. So in combination with your green max, you're getting quick root development and quick foliage development, right? And these alternatives usually come with micronutrients to give you that additional nutrient component that the plants need, right? So those are things to consider. And other aspect of the nursery management is your fungicides. So you can consider as a drench, you can, to prevent damping off, you have your Acrobat and your topsin rotated. These can be drench to prevent damping off. All right, so you get your seedlings out, you decide to plant out now. What you have coming? You start to apply your water, then you have this nice flush of weed growth. Crops are going nice, but along with the crops, the weeds decide to capitalize on the nutrient that you supply to the soil. So what we have at ACP is two contact herbicides, or Carista GA, which is formulated locally, and or Carista 20 SL, right? And these herbicides can be applied at 20 ml per 3.8 liter or 4 teaspoons per gallon. And you can carefully apply, and I generally recommend use this herbicide with a shield. As I said before, they're contact herbicides. So if you happen to spray or cause the product to touch the leaf, it will scorch them. All right, so that's why I would generally recommend that you use this product with a shield to safely spray in between the crop. All right, and these products don't give long residual activity, so you won't have to worry about affecting the short-term harvest of your crop. All right, and along with your post-emergent control, you want to come in with a pre-emergent control, which will further minimize any weed growth within your field. So the option that we have our Prol, or you have your Benzene, and these herbicides can be used at 30 ml per gallon or 2 tablespoons per gallon. Your question, Georgia? Let's see.
Not at this time, Janoy.
Okay, all right. And farmers, if you have any burning concerns, you can put it in the chat and we'll address it as the presentation goes on. All right, so focus on weed management. Let us move into growing the crop, fighting off your pests and disease, focusing on the nutrition, right? So in terms of pests and disease, what we try to do at CCJ is to carry a range of fungicides or products in generally to give the farmer the grower options to counteract any issues that they're having. So products such as your Solcox is a copper-based fungicide, your carbendazim, your systemic broad spectrum fungicide, your mancozeb contact fungicide, which is also broad spectrum, and another example is the Acrobat, right? Contact and systemic in one, which is it controls from your downy mildew to your phytophthora and your damping off issues. All right, so some of the common diseases that you'll find, and as I said, I'm not going in them in depth, just to give you some surface information. There are other PowerPoints on these topics, but let's go into some of the most common ones. All right. Cercospora leaf spot. This is a very common fungal problem that you lettuce growers who do hydroponics, who do outdoor cultivation, who do backyard cultivation have to face. And I know it's one of the more stubborn fungal problems currently affecting leafy vegetable production, right? And the initial symptoms are basically small water soak spots that form on the leaf. So generally, you'll start to see there some dark areas or sometimes darkish brown areas forming on the leaf. But what generally identifies cercospora from other fungal problem is an inner light circular, what I call an eye. I sometimes just call it eye. It doesn't shape like an eye, but an inner ear, which distinguish it. As you see in the picture, that's the leaf being held by Mr. Parker. You see that dark, that light circular coloration, right? Anytime you see that lesion with that brown area around it, that's generally cercospora leaf spot, right? And several things would factor in the proliferation of this fungi is your condition. So if the condition is wet, or is a case there where the daytime temperature is hot and the night cool, uh, which creates a shock to the plant, you will get this problem spreading very quickly. So you want to ensure that when you're putting in your seedlings, you treat them with any other options that I'm going to mention below, right? Because if the condition, if you can control that external condition, you want to be able to control the fungal problem. All right, so one of the solutions that we have to control cercospora leaf spot are carbendazim, and use it at half to 1 teaspoon per gallon. In cases of high pressure, I generally step it up to about 2 teaspoons per gallon, right? And this is a contact fungicide, so you get the fungicide targeting the fungi from within, right? Also, you have your mancozeb, which you can use at 30 gram per 3.8 liter or 2 tablespoons per gallon. And this is a contact approach. So this will give you outward protection. So this will prevent new spores from germinating within the leaf or prevent spores that will want to blow onto other leaf from being viable. Understand? An next systemic option is your topsin, which you generally use at 10 gram per 3.8 or 2 teaspoons per gallon. And finally, we have the Bellis, a very effective fungicide, which you can use from 8 to 12 gram per gallon. And this will give you a quick control of cercospora. And being that the Bellis has a short pre-harvest interval, you can basically use this close to your harvest period. So we're talking about 3 to 4 days from harvest, you can apply Bellis. All right. Another crucial problem that you have in cabbages or in leaf vegetable is your bacterial soft rot, right? And this a lot of times you'll see this more common in cabbages, and as the name suggests, bacterial soft rot. The inner interior becomes dark and soft, and generally, if you want to differentiate a fungal problem from a bacterial problem, bacterial problems usually comes with high odor. So a person just say the cabbage smells stink, right? So that's generally a bacterial issue, right? And for most of the instance, bacterial issues are controlled by copper-based fungicides, right? So you might be applying any other fungicide and saying I'm not getting control, but you're not realizing that being a bacterial problem, you'd want a copper base. So the copper base option would be or Sulcox. And for cabbages, you can use it at about 2 to 3 tablespoons per gallon or 30 to 45 grams per 3.8 liter to get an effective control. And what I generally recommend is that you use it by itself in cases where persons don't have the option to use it by itself. I'd recommend you do the application in the late evening so you don't get any phytotoxicity from the sulcus or the copper within the sulcus, right? All right. So those are two of the common fungal problem. All right. In terms of pest problem, you have your worms, your stink bug, aphids, your leaf miner. Those are some of the popular problems that we see present in leafy vegetable production. So products that we generally recommend are Indicarb, Definite, Diazinon, Caratrax. And if you notice, most of the insecticides in the local space are contact, right? So you have to be keen in terms of your application and your scouting in your field. Understand? In order to get an effective control. And generally, persons think being that's a contact, the pest will have to be on location when applying. No, once the residue is on the leaf and the pest comes in contact with that, you'll get the control that you desire. Understand? That's why we generally recommend apply these products, contact products with your new Flim P or your spreader sticker, right? To get the control that you desire. All right, so one of the more popular pests in terms of leaf vegetable is your leaf miner. And these insects basically suck and feed on the sap within the upper and the lower layer of the plant. So generally, as the name suggests, the insect mines within the upper and lower layer of the plant or the leaf, causing a tunnel-like formation, right? So you'll see if the tunnels expand to a large area of the leaf, you think it's a fungal problem, but it's basically a larger area being mined out of the leaf, right? And generally, if you look within the tunnels, you see dark streaks, which would indicate the larvae feeding within those tunnels, right? If you don't see those streaks, that means you have controlled the pests or the pest has moved on to another area, right? All right, trips. I know for many farmers of recent to do pepper and pepper, onion, and lettuce, trips is becoming one of the talk of the town. Yeah, it's becoming the talk of the town right now. Right? These are basically very small pests. A lot of persons call them lice. Right? And what they do, they suck the sap of the plant and cause either transfer of viruses or stunted growth, and generally you have those leaves curling down and giving you a discoloration, right? So for your leafy vegetable, for example, as shown in the picture, the lettuce will generally show yellowing of the leaf, right? Downward curling of the leaf, and then further on leading to a deformity of the growth. If in the case there's a spread of any viral problem, right? So you have to basically be on the lookout for any trips, and they generally vary from brown, black, in case yellow, a light pink color. So if you're not sure to identify trips, you can call an agronomist or any field officer to basically show you what a trip look like, right? And so these pests are generally popular in times of high temperatures. So leading into January, the temperature gets hotter, you'll see trips more prevalent within the fields. All right. All right. And the control method measures for these pests. One of the first things you want to maintain, and we always recommend as a company, basically what the farmer has to do is take in consideration good agricultural practices. So what you first want to do before you draw for any chemical option is to ensure that you're basically keeping up with good agricultural practices. So field sanitation is crucial, right? So remove any decaying, dying material, excess crop vegetation that you don't require in the field. Crop rotation, right? Because if the crop that you're growing is a host of the pest, you'll have an increase in the population. You can set up, for example, like trips, you can set up sticky traps that will basically attract the pests to the traps. Or for in terms of bee army worm, you can set up hormone traps that will draw the males to the traps, and that can be used as a monitoring system, as most traps are used as monitoring system to know what's the level of the pest in your population. But if along with those practices, what we have at AgChem to control the leaf mine and the aphids and the trips, we have our double systemic product or caprid, which you can apply at half to 1 teaspoon per gallon, which is equivalent to 2.5 to 5 ml per 3.8 liter. Or you can go the contact approach, right? Your cure that you can use at 2.5 to 5 ml per 3.8 liter, or a rotation of your carbaryl, which you can use at 1 tablespoon per gallon, which is very broad spectrum, so you can get a wide control of the pest. And the next contact option, which is very effective even against your trips, is your definite, which you can use at 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon. So the rotation of those products can help to minimize your leaf mine, your aphids, and your trips population. All right. So with the control APS, what you want to move on now is your nutrition. And what we did was to break down a little quick stepwise approach in terms of from week 1 to week 6, as a lot of these crops mature within that time, except for cabbage. What you would want to do for cabbage is to continue a rotation from week 5 to 6. All right. So for week 1, we're looking at either applying our root max, which is a 10-50-10, all right, which I said before that will give you a quick root development, or you come with your solid grow, it's a high phosphorus 12-48-8, very high in phosphorus and has micronutrient component, which are, as well as biostimulants. So you could come with either of those in week 1. And week 2, you want to come in with your Bio 20, Omics Bio 20, and Omics Fortify, which would further enhance root development, give foliage growth, and also build the immunity of the plant. While week 3 now, you come back with your root max, 10-50-10 plus your green max. So you're further pushing root development and contributing to foliage growth. And let me make a quick interjection. A lot of farmers, when they're growing leafy vegetables, they like to focus mainly on the nitrogen component, right? So a lot of farmers may just only supply the crop with just the nitrogen aspect, right? Remember, as I said, these crops are shallow rooted. So what you want to do is boost your rooting system, which will eventually lead to greater foliage development, right? But if you were to bypass that and just focus on foliage development, you won't get the type of results if you boost your root system along with boosting your foliage development, right? Because you need the roots to pick up most of your nutrients, right? So week 4, you come again with your Bio 20 and your Fortify combination, and these are used at 15 ml per gallon or 1 tablespoon per gallon. And you transition into week 5 with your Omics Fortify plus a Calmax B at 15 ml both, right? And the Calmax B essential for supplying the boron, supplying the manganese, supplying the calcium. So what you do, you're trying to increase the size of your head now, supplying the leaf with enough calcium so it can withstand heat stress, allow for quick development. You can extend your shelf life, right? Or you can come with your Green Max, your 30-10 turn at 15 gram per 3.8 liter, and that will help to further green up a plant, supplying micronutrients and giving the head formation that you desire. And at week 6, you finalize with your Fortify and Calmax B. further increasing your shelf life, further improving your stress tolerance, fighting the defense system, increasing the weight, giving you the head formation that you desire. All right. And remember I mentioned about the boron aspect. The Calmax B would supply that very effectively. All right. So that was your foliar component in terms of nutrition. In terms of your granular application now, what we have two lines of granular. We have the Abodam and the Elixir, right? Elixir line has becoming a very popular line in terms of vegetable production, just because of the high solubility, right? And the compound design of the fertilizer. So what I mean is that every grain of fertilizer you pick up, or every grain you pick up from the Elixir bag, you're getting that same formulation with every grain. Understand? So if you pick up a 16-27-7 with sulfur, yeah, every grain I put to the root of the plant has a 16-27-7 with the sulfur, and it's very soluble. So the soluble component is basically giving me a quicker result, right? Because you want your nutrients within the first 4 centimeter of the plant. Not that you're gonna apply the granular 4 centimeter from the plant. I'm saying you want the nutrient when dissolved as close as 4 centimeter, so the root tips can effectively pick up those nutrients. So as seen on slide, you want to basically build robust roots. So what you need, you need your phosphorus, you need the calcium, you need the boron, as you're seeing here, you need the boron, and you need the zinc, which you can get from the Elixir and the Abodam line, all right? Also, you want to increase the health of the plant. So you're looking at bolstering your nitrogen component, giving the potassium, supplying the calcium, magnesium, your sulfur, your boron, your manganese, right? Which will further increase that quick development of your top growth. So you're bolstering your bottom growth, which results in increase in your top growth. And then to finally improve that head weight and head quality, you're looking at nitrogen, your potassium, calcium, and your boron component, right? So not only focusing on the nitrogen, there's other macro and micronutrients that are very crucial in the leafy vegetable production. All right. And we basically, what we try to do a lot of the activities in the field. So what we do to show you the growers how the products can perform, we do some demonstrations. So as you see in the left with lettuce, you're seeing a greater head formation, a tighter fold compared to the control, which looks very lighter. Some disparity in terms of the head formation. In terms of pop choy, you're seeing that larger quality pop choy. So we're looking at greater weight, taller heads, right? So you're getting more biomass compared to the plant, compared to the control. So weight is more, biomass is more, so you're getting an all-round better product, right? And these plots were treated with the starter option, your 16-27-7, which has micronutrients, followed by your 15-15-15, the balance component with sulfur, right? And the sulfur is very effective in picking up your nitrogen and other macronutrients. And to top those off, sometimes we do a mixture of them, is your Elixir amosulfan, your sulfate of ammonia component with 20% nitrogen and 24% sulfur, which is a very excellent fertilizer when we're talking about the supply of nitrogen, right? So that's a good option. But so I'm going to show you a couple of the success stories that Mr. Park has received from the application of the Elixir line of fertilizers. All right, so in Rhinesbury, where you have callaloo production, Mr. Park was able to increase production from 7,000 pounds up to about 10,000 in the second instance, and about 16,000 pounds. And I can attest to that. From using Elixir amasulfan in callaloo production, we're getting basically greater foliage, thicker stem formation in terms of stem to root formation, right? You're getting that increased weight because the foliage has increased, the size of the foliage has increased. You're getting greater production from the area, and the results are very quick. Based on the solubility, you're seeing the difference in compared to the control within about 5 to 7 days. Clear difference in terms of performance. All right, so that's the Elixir Amasulfan in both Rhinesbury and New Forest, Manchester. All right, so Elixir 1515, right? After application, there was an increase by 50% in both cabbage and lettuce production, right? And these were done in boggle. And as you realize, these crops are grown without irrigation, right? So you need a fertilizer that can give you high solubility to reach those root tips and give you the production that you're looking for, right? So the farmer in Boggle was very impressed with the increase in 15%, with increase in 50%, right, compared to the control. All right, and there's an next farmer. It's a Spencer. We use the Omex Bio 20 Calmax B and 45 line in lettuce production. And these foliars, the Omex line is an excellent option when we're considering leaf vegetables, because you're getting a quick response in terms of weight. So you're cutting that maturity time from about, if you're harvesting about 7 weeks, you're looking at about 5.5 weeks. The weight will be higher, shelf life is greater, and you're getting an overall about 25 to 30% increase in production when you use the Omex line of product. All right, so Mr. Spencer was very pleased, and he's from Banana Ground, Manchester. All right, in seedling production now, we have more impressive results, right? As you can see, compared the agar leaf line compared to control, you realize that the foliage is much greener, even out in terms of height. The seedling, the seedling foliage is basically greater, so they can withstand stress. Rooting is very impressive. So you're getting a nice root development, which will help to carry those seedlings after transplant, right? So these are good soluble options that you can use. So you can spray them on foliarly or drench within your medium. Other results, yeah, so yeah, agar leaf line. This was an impressive plot because with the combination of green max and root max, the farmer, Tyreek Bennett, was able to harvest out the treated plot several days before the control. And the farmer was receiving greater head formation, more even formation because of the balance between the high phosphorus and high nitrogen component. You realize that you are getting even head formation. So instead of pushing just only a high nitrogen program, where you get that leaf growth, that does massive leaf growth, but you're getting a lighter head. The farmer was observing even head formation, tighter fold, and increase in the weight of those heads. So farmers, as I always say, focus on building your rooting, especially when you're talking about leaf vegetable, and to extend when you're talking about crop production. Rooting is always key. Right, so those are some of the results that were observed in Manchester by Mr. Park and the team over there in the central region. All right, so right now, based on the presentation, what we'll do at CCJ is to try to get a feedback from the farmers. So I'm going to test whether you were listening to the presentation. So I'm going to ask a question, and that question will relate to, if anyone can let me know in the chat, identify 2 line of foliars and 1 line of granular that you can use in your leaf vegetable production. So Identify 2 lines of foliars carried by CCJ and 1 line of granular that you can use in your leafy vegetable production. And you can put your answers in the chat, and Georgia will assist you as you go. So you hear that, listeners? Let me repeat myself. Identify 1 line of foliar fertilizer that we carry. Identify 2 lines of foliar fertilizer and 1 line of granular fertilizer that you can use in your vegetable production. You can put the answers in the chat. And in the meantime, you can think about any questions you may have. Georgia, I know I'm giving you excess work in terms of monitoring the chat.
Hold on, their persons are answering now. Unreal Williams, Folia Agaleaf and Omex.
All right.
Salian Corodas.
The line of granular?
So we'll take those.
The line of granular?
Unreal. Granular, Elixir.
Okay. Yeah, so that's and so those are excellent answers.
So both of them, we'll give both of them the gifts. I'm gonna ask them to send. Yes, I'm gonna ask them to send their number. Yes, Janai, you're hearing me?
Yes. All right, so
Janai?
Yes, I'm hearing you, Georgia.
Please ask them to send their numbers to the WhatsApp.
All right, so you hear that? So the both winners, you can send your number to the WhatsApp number. Right? Send your number and your information to the WhatsApp number. Right. And in the meantime, if there are any questions that the farmers or growers have, you can hear them. Any issues that you have with your leafy vegetable production, or whether you want to grow leafy vegetables, but you're not sure as it relates to production or marketability of the product, or what may be the option, let me know. Is any concerns?
My concern is that you could have gone on a little bit longer. Well, I really enjoyed the presentation, Mr. Johnson. I must say.
Thank you.
And I'm only sorry it's so short.
Oh, well, you know, a lot of the material is already online, so we don't want to basically repeat ourselves. Yeah.
How do we access that? And can we access these slides that you had today?
Yes. Because we post them on the Caribbean Chemicals. All right, Georgia, go ahead. Share that.
I'm putting it in the chat.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a lot. We have videos on different pests and disease, on Omex products, on Miller products. So we have different presentations. So what we try to do is basically keep it shorter, where any detailed information you can check those presentations.
Why I find it very interesting, is I'm very familiar with the Omex products and all your chemicals and stuff like that. I personally consider myself a guru on AgChem's products. However, I am not a guru on leafy vegetables. I'm just now venturing into leafy vegetables.
Okay. So yes.
So it was very interesting for me based on that. It solidified what I knew already, and also gave me quite a bit of new information to, because I have some of these chemicals. But major question I want to ask you, these granular fertilizers, for instance, do you have them in stock?
Yes, we just got back some of the Elixir and Abadam line, so we have them in stock.
Just got them, because 2 weeks ago you didn't have them.
No. Based on previous issues, we had to stop the sale. So we just got back some fresh stock, so you can basically order those. But, but my tips for leafy vegetable production, some of the general things that I usually use is, first of all, understand the market that you're supplying, right? Have an idea of the market. Then that can allow you to plan what you're going to plant and how you're gonna stagger the crop, right? So that's a journey, because the local market is very tricky, in terms of supply and demand. So you might,
especially since COVID, just me.
Especially, yeah. So you want to first get that market and know what they want before you venture into the different production. Okay, you don't want a case where you produce a crop very well and you have it sitting on you. And also, I'd suggest getting doing a budget or costing on your production before even starting, even if you have a rough idea of the costing. Because a lot of times growers avoid doing any costing, and then at the end of the day, you're not even sure if you make a profit or you break even. So do a costing.
Some growers are not interested, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, well, a lot of time I think it's the love that basically keeps them involved, but they have to understand, to basically stay and be profitable in the business, you have to be strategic. So they love it, but they don't take the time to be strategic and see it as a profitable business. Despite, even though you love the activity, I love the industry. Any more questions?
100%.
Any more questions?
No more questions. No more questions.
All right. Well, I thank the viewers for being here at another training, the first for 2022. I hope that if you haven't basically listened or viewed all the presentation, you can take the time in a relaxed period to take in some of the information, because 2022 hopefully is a more productive year. As I said before, you may be doing it for the love, but I think going forward, persons have to be more strategic, because with a new variants coming out now, we're not sure how the market is basically going to perform. So you want to be more strategic in how you plan your different crops, right? Ensure that you have a set market, and take the time to make your budget and work with a crop plan, right? And the next thing is that you can contact any other agronomists throughout the region to see for any advice, right? Or you can call Caribbean Chemicals at 757-0022, right? In terms of upcoming events, we have tomorrow on Power 106 at 6:15. You're basically going to have a Farming Today program where I and another agronomist will be talking about leafy vegetable production, the nutrition aspect and successes. Right, and this is the part 2, the part 1, which was here last week. And on Tuesday, January 18th, next Zoom training will be on hot pepper production, right? And with hot pepper production, especially Scotch bonnet production being so difficult, I think you want to tune into that to garner some information in order to cultivate your crop effectively and be profitable in the business.
What time?
What time?
Tuesday.
It's 1 p.m. 1 p.m. We generally keep it at the same time, 1 p.m.
Okay.
On January the 18th. All right. All right. Thanks again for tuning in, and do enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. And
all right, you're welcome.
Thank you, Janoi. And I just want to remind our farmers that we have crop care guides available. If you need crop care guides, you can send us an email at info.jam@caribchem.com, or you can even WhatsApp us and we will WhatsApp it to you. We have over 15 crop care guides can share with you. So you can always reach out to us. All right. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Thank you very
Victor.
much. Same to you.